Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. So obviously the LEC has now kicked off officially. We had a really fun and exciting week one from the LEC. But now LCS fans are of course excited about our own league kicking off and getting started this coming week. So I do want to start looking ahead and looking at the LCS more and more. Today, we're going to be talking about some bad news or some potential bad news for Cloud9, maybe something to potentially worry about or keep an eye on or whatever. And that is mainly surrounding this Reddit post and some recent comments from Monte Cristo. This Reddit post on the C9 subreddit says, Monty with some intel about our roster, and then they link to a Twitch clip. So let's check out what Monte Cristo has to say. Obviously, I don't think Monty is involved with C9 anymore, but he used to be. He definitely has a lot of inside sources and knowledge. So, if he's saying he's hearing things or knows things or whatever, there's usually at least some, credibility or credence or something to it. So let's see what he does have to say.
Who do you have?
CLOUD9.
Right. I have CLOUD9 a little bit higher than that. So why do you have CLOUD9 there? Don't believe in this squad? Because obviously all they've done is change out the mid laner. So it's just no Jensen. We've got Diplex now.
Right now he's talking about having CLOUD9 ranked 6th in his power rankings to start the season.
And Mithy's now the proper coach. So why is this team lower down for you?
Obviously, Cloud9 was affected by a lot of drama surrounding LS last year, and then some, swapping roles again. So Fudge back to top lane, then putting Jensen in. And I think it's inarguable that Jensen was pretty bad.
He wasn't the greatest, put it that way, yeah.
During summer and at Worlds. You have to remember how they did well, which is that Cloud9 rode the Zeri Enchanter meta to a really unlikely title, and
Berserker
that was
specifically as a result.
Berserker, basically, and like Sven being good at it, like legitimately pretty good at Enchanter supports. But that overshadows a lot of really serious flaws on this team, such as Sven being very uncomfortable on melee supports. Fudge not doing great in the top lane after that swap coming back around. I have also heard from sources that Diplex is performing pretty badly right now. C9 is one of the teams that was actively scrimming early on, but there's just too many question marks about.
So that is kind of the big overall bomb that he decides to drop on us in that clip. Obviously, a lot of it is just his opinion and his analysis and stuff. A lot of it, I think, is actually very fair. And I had Cloud9 rated pretty similarly. I can't remember if I put them 5th or 6th in my preseason power rankings, but it was somewhere around there. And it was a lot of that stuff. Hey, Fudge, he's role swapping. He was good at times during the LCS regular season. He was good at times during the LCS playoffs, but he was also not so great at times, and then also went to Worlds and looked really shaky. I don't know how he's going to come back and bounce back. And top lane in the LCS is kind of leveled up this year, with a lot of new and exciting faces coming in as well. Top's going to be tough, and I don't know if Fudge is going to be able to consistently carry. I think Blabber is at this point in his LCS career as consistent and as good as they get. So I love that they have Blabber. I think it's a huge plus. I think Berserker is a huge plus. But yes, Sven as a support is very suspect. I have no idea how he's going to do, even though it's now his second year or first full year, second year as a support. But I do worry about him potentially holding back Berserker, who you want to be your best player in main carry, pairing him up with, potentially your worst or least experienced, at least at his position, and most susceptible to kind of mistakes and stuff player. It seems like it could be a little bit rough. And then, Diplex in the mid lane, we really just have no idea. And Monty's saying that he has heard so far in scrims, it sounds like Diplex is not doing that good. Now, hey, that's not totally shocking. This is a guy who is 19 years old. He has, I believe, no experience in a major league yet to this point. He played for Vitality B in the ERLs. He was a pretty hyped up prospect. People are excited about him. He's young. He's inexperienced. And this could take time. With all prospects, some are hits and some are misses. There's some percent chance that Diplex will never be good ever, no matter how long we wait or how many chances he gets or what situation he ends up in or whatever. That's just how prospects work. Some of them pan out, some of them don't. But even if he is going to be a prospect that pans out, it might take some time. Some people take a couple weeks, a couple months. Some people take a couple years to really get going. So I don't know, but having such a big question mark at such a big position for Cloud9, like mid lane, with a young guy, inexperienced guy, it makes it hard to have that much confidence right off the bat in C9. I would rather them show me how good they're going to be and show me how good Diplex is going to be and why he's going to fit in on this team or why he deserves to be an LCS starting mid lane or whatever, rather than just giving it to him right off the bat. I also think it's interesting that Monte Cristo says, hey, they won, a pretty improbable title. And I kind of agree with that to some extent as well. C9 was a strong team, and we know they had the new roster and stuff, and they kind of ramped up as the season went on. But, there was no guarantee going into the playoffs that they were going to be the team to win it. And if, this stuff never happened with Danny or whatever, who knows if they end up winning it. And there was, a lot of worlds where C9, it's not like C9 was just by far the best team in LCS throughout all of Summer Split, and they were always going to win the title. So yeah, they don't have to come back this year and necessarily be, the best team in the world right off the bat. And yes, Jensen wasn't that great, but I'm sure he had a lot of intangibles and leadership and, in game, like, hey, this is how we win. This is what we need to do. That type of stuff that helped the team, regardless of his overall, individual skill level and stuff like that. So there's definitely going to be some growing pains with this new lineup. I do think people are kind of overrating C9's scouting and development and all that stuff. Like, yes, they have done a great job and they've had some great finds and they've definitely developed some great players. That doesn't mean every single player you get is automatically going to be a home run or you're automatically going to be able to develop. Because again, at the end of the day, we're talking about a rather small sample size no matter what. Like, yes, if you get a couple hits or you're able to develop a player or two, it's going to look like you're insane. It's going to look like you're awesome. But really, at the end of the day, how many players are we really talking about them developing, scouting, all that stuff? It's not like this is like hundreds or thousands or anything like that. Like I said, all prospects, there is some percent chance of them being a hit or miss or whatever. And yes, Cloud9 definitely has more hits in a lot of other places. They've definitely developed a lot of more people than other places, but still, it's within the realm of statistical like insignificance in the grand scheme of things. I know a lot of people, that's probably going to be a hot take. A lot of people aren't going to want to look at it that way, but I promise that that's just how it is if you know anything about numbers and statistics and all that. So it's not necessarily automatic that C9 are some scouting gods or talent development gods or whatever. I'm still, like I said, I want to see how it's going to go with Diplex, but I think there's still a lot of question marks. How good is Fudge going to be? How good is Sven and the bot lane going to be? And how good is Diplex going to be? Hearing that he's not doing so well in Scrim start of the year is definitely not the greatest sign. Mid lane in the LCS is definitely leveled up this year as well. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Of course, C9 does have Eminus in the academy, and he's a big question mark as well, but he was really seen as one of the most talented players in all of the ERLs last year. He just has some behavioral issues. And, if Eminus is able to get his behavioral issues under control and show that he can be a consistent carry player with C9 Academy, maybe he will end up being the C9 mid laner at some point during the spring or during the summer or whatever, even if Diplex doesn't work out, or maybe even Diplex does work out and Eminus just works out better. But again, that's another large question mark as well. I don't follow the Academy scene super, super closely, but I know I've seen some tweets, and from what I see, it at least seems to me right off the bat like Eminus has had a pretty hot start to the Academy season, so he definitely could be a player to watch out for. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. But until then, peace.